My mother always loved causing trouble for me. She called it training my emergency response skills, or adversity quotient. On the day of my graduate exam, she accidentally dropped my exam card into the toilet, then calmly said, "This is so you can learn from experience, a lesson you'll remember forever after just one time." On the day of my job interview, she poured a large amount of laxative into my juice, not only making me lose a job opportunity, but also humiliating me in front of everyone. The next day, she ran straight to my boyfriend Daniel, opening her mouth to fabricate lies. "You're much better looking than her previous boyfriends, but my daughter has had multiple miscarriages, so I guess you wouldn't mind, right?" Losing both my job and my love, I fell into a state of despair and hopelessness. Much later, the lottery numbers I'd faithfully played for 3 years finally hit the jackpot. I excitedly held the ticket to claim my prize, but when I searched for it, I discovered it had been shredded into tiny pieces by my mother. In the end, I despairingly stood on the rooftop and jumped. Opening my eyes, I found myself back on the day of my job interview. My younger brother, Tom, sat at the table and naturally reached for the glass in front of me, but before he could even touch his lips to it, Mrs. Chu snatched it away. "This is specially prepared for your sister. She has an interview today." Mrs. Chu, with a knowing smile, placed the glass of unknown liquid back in front of me. "Jane, drink up. Make sure you finish it all." So she intentionally knew I had something important, yet she still didn't forget to play her tricks. The sour smell made me nauseous, and Mrs. Chu's voice echoed in my ears like a haunting spirit. Just then, the memories of my previous life flooded back. I covered my mouth and rushed to the bathroom, vomiting violently. In my previous life, on this very day, I had unsuspectingly drunk my mother's special juice. The result was relentless diarrhea from the gate to the interview room. I was so exhausted I didn't even know who took me to the hospital. And the interview? Of course, it was ruined. I not only lost the opportunity, but was also videotaped in my most humiliating state, becoming a laughingstock on social media. After a day on an IV drip in the hospital, I dragged myself home late that night. The moment I stepped through the door, I saw my family happily oblivious as if nothing had happened. My father, Mr. Chu, was bragging about his upcoming promotion. My brother, Tom, with a beaming face, revealed his successful confession of love. Only I had struggled all day, only to lose everything. With the last bit of my strength, I gritted my teeth and confronted my mother. Everyone ate the same food. "Why was only that glass of juice for me? What did you put in it? You knew I had an important interview today, so why did you do this?" Mrs. Chu leisurely bit on a melon seed and calmly replied, "What are you talking about? How could a mother harm her own child? I even specially made juice for you this morning, and now you're slandering me? This is truly repaying kindness with enmity." I was speechless, my lips moving for a long time before I could utter a word. Mrs. Chu turned to look at me. Her eyes were clearly full of calculations, yet she wore the gentle facade of a mother. "Jane, my dear, you must know that all sorts of emergencies can happen in society. This is just a lesson to train you. To collapse over such a small thing, you truly are too weak." Look at what my mother was saying. Some people's existence is a problem, and for me, the cancer of this life was my own mother. My brother, Tom, criticized me loudly. "Isn't it just an interview? Why are you making such a fuss? Today was supposed to be a happy day, but you're such a jinx, always ruining the atmosphere. Clearly, you're incompetent. If you failed the interview, blame yourself. How dare you come home and blame Mom?" My father, Mr. Chu, also didn't care, waving his hand and saying, "If you're not capable, you should work harder. Why are you making excuses and blaming the family? Shameless. Look at you, no future at all. Raising you is a waste of effort." My brother, Tom, crossed his arms over his chest with disgust as he walked past me. "I still have to study for my civil service exam. Don't disturb the future of this family. If I were as useless as you, wouldn't we all starve?" I need to go to my study room. The unemployment and the accusations from my family made me feel incredibly resentful. The next day, I could only turn to my boyfriend, Daniel, for some comfort. But to my surprise, my mother secretly looked through my phone in the middle of the night and went to him before me. She fabricated all sorts of baseless stories. "Are you Jane's new boyfriend? Compared to the previous ones she brought home, you're much more pleasing to the eye. But you know, she's had multiple miscarriages. It might be hard for her to have children later. But young people nowadays don't really want kids, do they? I'm sure you wouldn't mind, right?" When I arrived, Daniel immediately proposed a cold breakup, angrily questioning me, "Do you think I'm an idiot?" I confusedly asked for the reason. When I found out my mother was behind it all, I quickly tried to explain, but he refused to believe me. What kind of mother would intentionally slander her own daughter? Thinking about it, even I found it hard to believe. My mother still acted self-righteous, even feigning hurt. True love is hard to find. I was just helping you vet him. If he can't even accept this, it proves he doesn't truly love you. You should experience heartbreak early. That's how you raise your adversity quotient. I had originally wanted to use love to soothe my wounded heart, but the result was a bolt from the blue. During that time, I felt drained of all joy in life, sinking deep into despondency and losing my way. 2 months later, fate unexpectedly smiled upon me. The lottery numbers I'd faithfully played for 3 years finally hit the jackpot. Arriving home, I immediately searched for the lottery ticket that could change my life, but no matter how much I turned things upside down, I couldn't find it. I mumbled to myself while searching everywhere. Strange, I always leave it here, so why is it suddenly gone? Finally, I discovered the ticket, shredded in the trash can. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I couldn't believe my eyes. Just then, Mrs. Chu calmly walked in, slowly scoffing. "You always leave it in the same place and never put it away properly. This time you'll remember for a long time, won't you? That's life. Anything unexpected can happen, so you have to learn to adapt to it. Stay calm and adjust your mindset well." Every word of hers was a harsh blow to my chest. After a few minutes of shock, despair immediately surged. My voice hoarse and exhausted, I asked, "So, on the day of the interview, you were the one who put laxatives in my juice, weren't you?" Mrs. Chu just smiled without answering, but her smug expression said it all. "Why do you keep intentionally causing trouble for me?" My mother's eyes suddenly turned dark and terrifying. She subtly curved her lips, and her voice, cold as ice, resonated. "By what right can you take graduate exams, find a job, freely fall in love without having to marry and bear children? You must experience all the pains in this life to understand how I feel. You must know how difficult it is to be a mother." In that moment, I completely lost all hope in life. Finally, I stood on the rooftop, letting myself sink into darkness, then jumped. Before dying, I prayed for only one thing. No matter how many reincarnations, I never wanted to meet this family again. But when I opened my eyes, I was back here. All right, if fate has arranged it this way, then this time I'll help Dad and my brother train their adversity quotient a bit. And while I'm at it, I'll let Mrs. Chu experience a few challenges of life too. I wiped my mouth, gave a brand new smile, and walked out of the bathroom. Before this, I had secretly texted my best friend, asking her to call my mother to promote a financial product. While Mrs. Chu was on the phone, I quickly divided the laxative-infused juice into 2 small cups. Then, very thoughtfully, I brought them to my father, Mr. Chu, who was about to be promoted, and my brother, Tom, who planned to confess his feelings to Lily today. Without Mrs. Chu to stop them, both of them drank the poisonous juice to the last drop. Tom seemed to enjoy it immensely. So refreshing, like Lily's smile under the sun, filling me with vitality. I smiled with satisfaction. "Who's Lily?" "Oh, right, brother, why are you so dressed up today? Something important?" Tom spread his hand and slicked back his shiny hair, looking arrogant. "Villager, today is Valentine's Day. This young master is about to get a girlfriend. Lily is your future sister-in-law." I smiled brightly, picked a piece of meat, and placed it in his bowl, gently wishing him, "Then I wish you success. Today, you're definitely the most handsome guy in school." In my mind, a scene played out. Tom, holding a bouquet, standing in front of the girls' dormitory, countless candles arranged in a heart shape at his feet. A romantic and touching confession of love, combined with severe diarrhea. This boastful brother would definitely ask some friends to video record this momentous occasion of his life. I hoped many people would gossip, film, and discuss it enthusiastically, making my brother famous on the school forum. I wondered what he'd look like when he came home tonight. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. "What are you laughing at, idiot?" Tom looked at me with disgust. "Nothing, just thinking about Dad getting promoted, and you're about to have a stable job plus a beautiful girlfriend. I'm just happy for you." After dinner, I pretended to get ready for my interview, stepping out the door with feigned anticipation. Today, I was very busy. First, I rented an apartment, getting ready to leave this cold house at any moment. After that, I went to watch a Chinese animated movie to support the national cinema. In my previous life, I had planned to go on a date with my boyfriend after the interview, but everything ended up in chaos. Both my job and my love vanished into thin air. Today is White Day. So let's break up tonight. Even though Mrs. Chu's instigation had made him lose hope before, the pain he caused me was real. Unexpectedly, as soon as I stepped out of the cinema, I saw my boyfriend, Daniel, intimately with a girl, her voice coquettish. It turned out Daniel had already developed feelings for someone else long ago. He just used Mrs. Chu's words as an excuse. I walked up behind them. This was a rare opportunity. How could I miss it? With a perfectly gentle smile, I softly called out, "Daniel?" He flinched and turned his head. The atmosphere immediately became awkward. His whole body stiffened as he tried to hide his embarrassment. I proactively broke the silence. "Were you going to take her home and then come back to watch the movie with me one more time?" The smile on the girl's lips gradually faded, her eyes growing cold. "Daniel, didn't you say your mother was having her 50th birthday party tonight?" I couldn't help but laugh, quickly waving my hand. "Oh, Daniel, you don't have to try so hard to support domestic films. I've already seen it, no need to go again. As it happens, I was also about to tell you. Let's break up. My mother used divination and said you have a very bad fate. She strongly objects to me dating you. I heard men go bald at 30, their physiological functions decline sharply at 35, they're dirt poor at 40, and at 50, they're at risk of sudden death. Most importantly, when you were young, you caused too many girls to have abortions, so the negative karma around you is too heavy and will badly affect your girlfriend's financial luck." Daniel's face twisted from stiff to distorted. "Jane, I just fell for someone else. Do you have to curse me like that?" I just gave a faint smile, then turned to look at the girl beside him, my eyes full of pity. I turned my back, deleted his number from my contacts, and blocked all communication. When the last burden in my heart was lifted, I immediately went to eat hot pot, my favorite dish, and drank the sweetest milk tea. The money I had saved from part-time jobs over the years was enough for me to spend until I became rich overnight. Finally, I bought a lottery ticket, as usual, hiding it in a book to avoid Mrs. Chu's discovery. After a simple yet wonderful day, I sat in a cafe, searching for some toxic chicken soup for the soul articles to send to Mrs. Chu in the coming days. As I relaxed, enjoying the night view, my phone suddenly rang. It was Mrs. Chu calling. I muted it and didn't answer, continuing to enjoy my free evening. When it was completely dark, I entered the house, clutching my stomach and feigning discomfort. "Ouch, I don't know what's wrong today. My stomach has been cramping all day." My father, Mr. Chu, who was repeatedly knocking on the bathroom door, turned his head to look at me, suspicious. "Are you sick too? Could it be food poisoning for the whole family?" He frantically banged on the door. "Tom, hurry up, Dad can't hold it anymore." Tom lay slumped in despair in front of the bathroom door, his legs clamped together, his face contorted in pain. Mrs. Chu sat on the sofa, looking guilty as she pretended to rub her stomach. "Maybe the food today wasn't fresh. Mom feels a bit uncomfortable too." My father suddenly flinched, then seemed to accept his fate, a hint of relief even on his face. Indeed, who would have thought someone in this house would intentionally put laxatives in the food? In my previous life, Mrs. Chu would never admit it, even to her death. This time, I had to expose her. I clutched my stomach, leaning against the wall, slowly shuffling back to my room, mentally planning my escape from this house as soon as possible. That night, the whole family struggled all night before finally falling asleep. At 1:30 a.m., I woke up right on time. Holding a kitchen knife, I began to chop meat, the blade hitting the cutting board with powerful, decisive strokes. The first to be woken was Tom. "You jinx! What are you doing again? Do you know I have an upcoming civil service exam? Can you take responsibility for making so much noise?" I pretended not to hear, my eyes vacant as I continued to chop meat. Seeing my lack of reaction, Tom furiously lunged forward and pushed me to the ground. I shrieked, stood up with the knife, and swung it straight at him. Tom shrieked in panic, running all over the house. My parents, woken by the noise, rushed out to stop me. I seized the opportunity, rolled my eyes, and fainted on the spot. My father frowned. "Is she sleepwalking? So unlucky, she was never like this before." After 3 consecutive nights of my midnight antics, I was finally successfully kicked out of the house. I happily moved into my small rented apartment, eating to my heart's content, playing games, and eagerly awaiting the daily drama. I used a dummy account to send Mrs. Chu a series of articles like, "The richer a man gets, the more promiscuous he becomes. As soon as men get promoted and rich, they will definitely find a new wife. Couples not on the same level will eventually be eliminated. A son with a wife will forget his birth mother. The prettier the daughter-in-law, the harder she is to please. As soon as she's married, the mother-in-law must assert her authority, otherwise she won't be able to control her later. And women must be financially independent to live proudly like a queen. Mrs. Chu was an envious person. In my previous life, she always wanted me to suffer more than her, not even sparing her own daughter. This time, I had to make her focus all her malice on every other family member. During the day, I even secretly went home a few times to eavesdrop. Mrs. Chu, true to form, didn't disappoint. She absorbed everything well, even carefully noting down those golden maxims in her notebook to stay vigilant. Not long after, my father, Mr. Chu, was preparing for a business trip. This time, Mrs. Chu acted swiftly and decisively. My father was assigned by his superior to discuss an important project. To test him, the superior asked him to plan the entire trip himself. This meant that if he did well, he would definitely be promoted. My father immediately booked 2 first-class tickets on the earliest flight. But just before the departure date, Mrs. Chu secretly canceled the tickets and exchanged them for the cheapest train tickets. The flight would only take 4 hours, but the train journey stretched into 48 hours. My father's superior was furious on the spot. With no flight tickets and the train taking too long, they missed an important contract. Not only that, the high-end hotel their partners had booked for them was also swapped by Mrs. Chu for a cheap motel. The client was so enraged that they immediately canceled the contract and blacklisted my father's company, refusing to cooperate ever again. The business trip plan vanished into thin air. The promotion opportunity was also gone. My father returned home with a face as angry as a volcanic eruption, directly smashing the flower vase on the coffee table and shattering the dishes on the dining table. "Mrs. Chu, what the hell have you done? How many times have I told you this business trip was crucial?" "What was your intention?" Mrs. Chu sat on the floor, feigning resentment, tears streaming down her face. Of course, she couldn't admit that she feared her husband's advancement was too rapid. Her voice was weak as she tried to defend herself. "I just thought the plane tickets were too expensive, and the hotel wasn't worth spending so much money on. As a good wife, I just wanted to help you save, darling." Her voice grew softer and softer, clearly lacking conviction. Besides, going through a little challenge helps improve your emergency response skills and raises your adversity quotient, right? My father exploded. "Shut up, adversity my foot. Have you no shame? I was supposed to be promoted to deputy director. Now it's all over. My superior won't even answer my calls anymore." I sneered inwardly. Mrs. Chu naturally knew this. Precisely because she knew it so well, she acted so precisely. I stepped forward, gently patted my father's back, and softly comforted him. "Dad, don't be too angry. Your health is more important. Mom probably just meant well. You're getting old, and Mom just worries you'll work too hard. Let it go, it won't happen again." Tom yawned, sluggishly chiming in. "That's right, isn't it just not getting a promotion? Why such a fuss? Wait until I pass my civil service exam, then the whole family will live in luxury." Everyone, stop making noise. I still have to study. Hearing his beloved son speak, my father no longer wanted to escalate the matter. But he still sternly warned Mrs. Chu, "From now on, you are not to touch my phone." Then he turned to me. "Jane, before you leave, remember to clean the house thoroughly. Don't let Tom step on any fragments." My father immediately returned to his room and changed his phone password. This gave him a perfect excuse to flirt freely later on. As for me, I gently patted Mrs. Chu's back, a faint smile on my face. It's still the son who protects his mother the most, isn't it? That's so good. But I wonder if he'll still treat you like this once he has a girlfriend. While Mrs. Chu was still stunned and calculating, I immediately took the opportunity to slip away. Whoever made the mess should clean it up. I wasn't free to deal with this chaos. I even hoped someone would step on those fragments. As for Lily, that girl with the strange name, astonishingly, she agreed to Tom's cheesy confession. I screenshotted Tom's public post on WeChat and sent it to Mrs. Chu, not forgetting to heap praise. "Oh, Lily is so pretty. She's truly a rich young lady. It would be wonderful if she married into our family later. But rich young ladies are surely used to being pampered, right? It will definitely be very difficult to serve her. I wonder if brother will still protect Mom like before." Mrs. Chu immediately became vigilant. So, when Tom said he wanted to bring his girlfriend home to meet the family, she immediately devised a perfect plan. That day, she secretly called Lily into a room, smiling brightly, but with eyes as cold as ice, she slowly said, "You're Lily, aren't you? Oh my, you look exactly like Tom's ex-girlfriend." Actually, all the girls he brought home before were pretty similar, all cheap goods. Oh, right, don't you dare follow the last one's example, okay. Don't get pregnant and try to force a marriage? Lily's face turned red with anger, and she turned and stormed off. Tom, unaware of what had happened, could only frantically chase after her, begging. That afternoon, the weather suddenly changed, thunder rumbled, and rain poured incessantly all night. I curled up in my small apartment, hugging my blanket, praying for the morning sun to dispel the darkness in my heart. I don't know when I drifted off to sleep, but I was awakened by a call from Mrs. Chu. Tom is in the hospital, come quickly. On the way to the hospital, Mrs. Chu repeatedly recounted the events. After Lily angrily left, Tom chased her all the way to her apartment building. But no matter how much he called, she wouldn't answer. So a cheesy, idle drama-like scene began. The male lead, Tom, knelt in the rain, choked with emotion, saying, "If you don't forgive me, I'll kneel here forever. I'll wait for you for as long as it takes, until you're willing to come back to me. Heaven can bear witness to my love. From the first time I met you, you said you wanted a husband with a stable job. I've been working hard for over a decade just to marry you." Just then, the rain poured down. Seeing Tom drenched in the rain, his eyes full of adoration, Lily finally relented. She ran downstairs and threw herself into his arms. The two embraced passionately, like two trees swaying in a storm. After hearing this, I was even more convinced that Lily was not normal either. As for Tom, it turned out he had desperately studied for the civil service exam for years, not for his career or family, but for his girlfriend. The result of that romantic confession was that both of them contracted pneumonia. Tom had a continuous high fever, falling unconscious, and had to be put on an IV drip in the hospital. Seeing Tom deliriously call out Lily's name, a cold glint flashed in Mrs. Chu's eyes. I gently took her hand and softly whispered, "Mom, I understand." Mrs. Chu shuddered, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes twitching slightly as if she was hesitant whether to smile or not. I smiled gently and said, "Mom, you did all this just for Tom's good. True love is hard to find, you're just helping him vet her. If Lily can't even handle this, then she's definitely not Tom's true love." Mrs. Chu relaxed, placed her hand on the back of mine, and nodded in agreement. "Yes, it's true, only women understand women. I wonder if Tom will blame me when he wakes up." I lowered my eyes, concealing the coldness in my gaze. "No, Mom, I'll advise him well. On the contrary, he'll have to thank you because you helped solidify their relationship. Now he's about to pass the civil service exam, and sooner or later, he'll start a family. Once he has a daughter-in-law, you won't have to worry anymore." After the fever, Tom and Lily's relationship deepened even further. He threw all his effort into the exam. A month later, Tom made it into the top 3 for the civil service exam. On the interview day, he was impeccably dressed, full of confidence. Mrs. Chu once again brought out her special juice, gently placing it in front of Tom. "Today's your interview, son. Drink this. It's a special juice Mom prepared for you." To my surprise, Tom flatly refused to drink. "Water makes me go to the bathroom too much. I won't drink it." I immediately understood. It turned out he had already started to guard against Mrs. Chu. Perhaps in my previous life, Tom also knew that Mrs. Chu was behind my ruined interview, but since it didn't happen to him, he didn't care. Right, his brain wasn't stupid enough to fail the interview round, he was just a hateful person. Tom quickly ate 2 sandwiches and left the house. Strange, recently my father had been disappearing often. At home, he was always hiding in the toilet or on the balcony, scrolling on his phone. He'd been in the bathroom for over half an hour now, there must be a problem. Seeing Tom leave, Mrs. Chu's eyes, sharp as knives, stared at his retreating back. I quickly soothed her. "Don't worry, Mom, he'll do well. He absolutely isn't guarding against you. Maybe today he just didn't want to drink juice. As long as he passes the interview and completes the political background check, our family will have a stable job for life." Hearing this, Mrs. Chu frowned slightly. "What is a political background check?" I patiently explained, intentionally emphasizing. "Normally, Tom often curses and causes trouble outside. You absolutely must not let the background check personnel find out. If he fails this round, it will be difficult, even for many years or his whole life, to get a government job." Just then, my father ambled out of the bathroom, oblivious to anything. He casually picked up the juice glass on the table and drank it. Less than half an hour later, he started experiencing severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. Just as he reached for his phone, he rushed back into the toilet again. I saw that his phone screen was still on in the bedroom. I stealthily went in to check. It turned out he had recently become the top spender on a live stream platform. "Wait, That sexy female streamer, why did she look familiar? Wasn't that Leo, my high school classmate? Oh no, his original name was Liu Xiu. As a child, he was effeminate, so his parents forced him to change his name, hoping he'd be more masculine. But unexpectedly, he still persisted in pursuing a provocative style. Now he had changed his stage name to become a hot live-streaming girl, half-dressed. My father had even given him quite a few gifts. What a heavy taste. It's good. This couple, each spending half their assets, soon this whole family will be bankrupt. Not long before that, I had discovered another interesting thing. Mrs. Chu regularly went to a mysterious place every week. After observing a few times, I found out she was secretly attending investment seminars about immortal essence at home to gain economic independence. I also pretended to attend a few sessions. Anyone with a brain could tell it was a scam. All the attendees were elderly people aged 50 to 60. Those scammers were truly despicable, but I would wait for a better opportunity to expose her. A few days later, Tom ranked second in the interview round. He officially entered the health check phase. Due to strict precautions, Mrs. Chu couldn't find an opportunity to intervene. Finally, she set her sights on the political background check. Of course, I had also prepared my own move. Remember when Tom confessed his feelings to Lily? That day, he had diarrhea right in the middle of his confession. Many people videotaped it. Sometimes, colleagues would even intentionally mock him about it. Tom got so angry that he swore, cursed, and even resorted to physical violence. Of course, his outburst was also videotaped. I secretly saved all of it and anonymously sent it all to Mrs. Chu right before the political background check. Tom begged Mrs. Chu to go out. Mrs. Chu immediately agreed. But towards the end of the background check, she brought a whole group of relatives home. Oh, isn't this Tom, the future pillar of our nation? I heard he's about to become a civil servant. Can you help my cousin find a job? Just something as easy as yours. But you know he has a temper like a firecracker. How can he live peacefully in a public office? Last time he got into a fight and it was all videotaped, we all saw it. And I must say his swearing was top-notch, all new words. Even Uncle wants to learn from him. Comrades, why don't we sit down and play a game of mahjong? The background check officials tried to maintain polite smiles, but their embarrassment was clear. Excuse me, could we see the video? Tom's relatives, incredibly generous, immediately opened the video for them to watch. The background check officials made a few notes, said goodbye, and left. From the moment the relatives walked in, Tom had been stiff as a board. It wasn't until his girlfriend called to ask about the results that he came back to his senses. Upon receiving the news that he failed the political background check, Lily immediately broke up with him. Didn't you assure my parents that you'd have a government job? Tom was stunned. Failed the political background check, so I can't retake it anymore. If that's the case, then let's end things here. On the other end of the phone, Tom knelt, begging fervently, but the cold voice on the other end instantly froze the room. I am Lily's father. I firmly object to you. Give up. Unless you win the lottery and can guarantee my daughter a lifetime of comfort, I will reconsider. Tom, infatuated with love, cried pitifully, tears and snot streaming down his face. With great difficulty, he managed to utter a sentence. Lily, accepting your embrace has already used up all the good fortune in my life. How can I win the lottery again? Jane has played the lottery for 3 years and hasn't won more than 20 yuan. This is like asking for my life. Lily, without you, I can't live. Wow, my Lily. Although it sounded a bit nauseating, Lily's father's firm attitude gave me a wonderful opportunity. Based on the timing, it was time to deliver the finishing blow. A few days later, I bought 2 lottery tickets, each with a 10x multiplier. One I hid in a locker at the shopping mall, the other I left at home, waiting for Mrs. Chu to shred it. She surely never imagined that she had personally shredded the future of her entire family, as well as shattered her son's last ray of hope. Tom suffered a persistent high fever, confined to bed, losing both his job and his love. The shock to him was many times more cruel than what I had experienced. I collapsed due to my mother's betrayal and malice, while he was simply a lovesick fool. This time, no matter how long he knelt in the rain, he couldn't move Lily's heart. So, let's use a 10 billion yuan lottery ticket to solve it. Let him fly straight from hell to heaven, and then fall back from heaven to hell. Just then, my father had also spent all his savings, throwing money around just to win over the hot live streamer. As for Mrs. Chu, all her fixed deposits had been invested. This family was truly a farce. I used a dummy account to send Mrs. Chu the video of my father topping up the female streamer's account. At the same time, I sent Mr. Chu documents proving she had been scammed out of hundreds of thousands of yuan in investments. Then I turned off my phone, waiting for the storm to erupt in the house. That night, after confirming my lottery win, I burrowed under my blanket, screaming with joy for a few minutes. But fearing others' envy, I only dared to rejoice in secret. All night, I stood in front of the mirror, practicing my emotions until they were perfectly natural. The next day, it was time for the show to begin. Indeed, when I returned home, it was like stepping into a battlefield, no different from a vegetable garden ravaged by beasts. I poured all my energy into playing the role perfectly, excitedly screaming, "I won! I finally won! Everyone, guess how much? 10 billion yuan. Our family will never have to worry about food and clothes again." Tom immediately sprang up, forgetting all about his illness. "What did you win? Lottery ticket?" I waved my hand and slapped the back of his neck hard. "Nonsense. Your sister here has been consistently buying for 3 years and finally won the jackpot, and I even bought a 10x multiplier." Tom's illness instantly vanished as if he'd received a stimulant shot. He excitedly jumped up and immediately ran into his room to call Lily. My father sat counting his fingers, confirming that he would never have to worry about money again. He immediately called his boss. "Hey, you pot-bellied, ugly bastard. What are you acting so arrogant about with a little money? I've put up with you for too long and now I won't anymore. I'm telling you, I quit. But I'm too lazy to do the paperwork, so if there's a breach of contract, just deduct it. I'm not working anymore. I wish you an early bankruptcy. May your head grow a forest of green grass." Before Mrs. Chu could even rejoice, her face suddenly froze. Didn't I shred that lottery ticket myself? She looked at her husband, then at her son, seeing them celebrating like they had been brought back from the dead, then looked at me, her heart in extreme panic. "When did you buy that lottery ticket?" 2 days ago, I bought it and immediately tucked it into a book. I always leave it there. Don't worry, as long as no one touches it, this 10 billion will definitely belong to our family, ha. Urged by my father and Tom, we all went into the room. I flipped through every page of the book, searching everywhere but found nothing. Panicked, I overturned the entire room, searching every nook and cranny. Finally, my gaze fell upon the trash can. I slumped to the floor, my whole body trembling, my voice choked with emotion. 10 billion. How could it turn into a pile of shredded paper? Who on earth doesn't want our family to be rich? I beat my chest, stomped my feet, and wailed tragically. To be honest, despair is a very difficult emotion to portray. My acting wasn't quite up to par. Compared to me, my father fainted on the spot, and Tom's eyes were dull, his soul having flown away, looking much more realistic. My father was taken to the hospital, while Tom lay flattened at home, soft as a lifeless lump of clay. While Mrs. Chu was busy scrambling, I quietly slipped away. Donning the protective suit I had prepared, I went to collect my winnings, fully covered by a mask and also wearing a face mask and sunglasses. After receiving 10 billion yuan, I immediately set off to travel across the country. From then on, the affairs of that household no longer concerned me. When my first trip ended, it was already a year later. That day, I accidentally overheard some relatives discussing family matters. Not long after I left, Lily got engaged to another man. Tom, in utter despair, slit his wrists at home. Luckily, he was saved, but from then on, he was just an empty shell. The provocative female streamer who had received money from my father promised to help him find a job, then lured him into fleeing to Southeast Asia. One night, my father quietly left home with a backpack. Since then, he disappeared completely. Mrs. Chu invested all her money and finally ended up penniless. I heard that she used to constantly cause trouble for her biological sister. The two sisters had long cut off contact. On the day Lily got married, my old house caught fire. The entire house and the people inside were burned to ashes. I returned to handle their funerals, obtaining death certificates. Then I handed over all the documents I had previously collected to the police. The scam syndicate that defrauded Mrs. Chu of her investment money was completely busted. I also recovered all the money she had lost to the scam. After resting for half a year, I continued my new journey. On a high-speed train, I incidentally saw a social news report. A scam ring in Southeast Asia was completely dismantled, and all criminals were extradited back to the country. Among them, I saw two familiar faces. One was my old classmate Leo, and the other was the man I once called father. He was skin and bones, his eyes deeply sunken, looking unrecognizable. But I felt nothing at all. I looked out the window and suddenly realized that spring had arrived.